Welcome to the Cyber Business Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and share their inspiring stories. Now, let's get started with the show.
Matthew Connor here, host of the Cyber Business Podcast. Today, we're joined by the co-founder of the Canadian Cyber Forum and the CISO at Mitel, Bill Dunnion. Bill, welcome to the show.
Matthew, thank you very much for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. Before we get too far in, a quick word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by cyberlinks.com. That's cyber, Lynx.com. Do you know if a hacker's in your system? Most people and most companies don't until it's too late and the hacker's already done damage. A hacker's job is to bypass your security, so companies need a way of knowing when someone's gotten past theirs. That's where Cyberlinks comes in. We've partnered with the best cybersecurity companies in the world to be able to provide our clients with the best solutions at the best prices. So whether it's managed SIM, SOC, EDR, MDR, XDR, you name it, we'll help you find the best solution at the best price. Find out more at cyberlinks.com. That's cyber, Lynx.com. And now back to our show. Bill, so tell us about the Canadian Cyber Forum and why you helped start it.
Oh, thanks, Matthew. Yeah, the Canadian Cyber Forum, I guess we're coming up on 8 years of existence now. It started, I love the way the initiating story is. There was a guy, Mark, who ended up being our co-founder. He was selling second factor authentication software. He reached out to me as a cold call, asked if we could get together, and I said sure. So over coffee, Tim Hortons. So I'm up here in Canada. So yeah, an iconic coffee shop. We had a conversation. We were talking about all kinds of things. I kept on waiting for the sales pitch, and it never came. We started talking about different community groups, and in Ottawa, there were very few. Some of the associations like ASACA or ISC Squared would have meetings from time to time. It depends if someone had the initiative. They were all pay to play, so they all required a membership, $50 to $100 to attend. So we kind of said, well, what if we did something? What if we held a meeting? So we used the Meetup platform. Wow, and I thought, hey, that's a great idea. And then we finished. It was a wonderful conversation. I thought nothing of it. And then the following week, being a good sales guy, Mark called me up and said, okay, so when's our first meeting? And I said, oh, so you were serious? I said, yeah, let me think about that. I've got a couple ideas for a topic. And then the week after, he goes, well, how about September 13th? I should remember when the first meeting was. But and I said, oh, all right, sure, let's do it. And so we ended up getting a room at Ottawa City Hall downtown, and the capacity was about 80 or so. And we figured, let's do that downtown City Hall, get some credibility. We held our first meeting, and there were 110 people. It was standing room only. We ran out of pizza. It was wonderful, and and so we've met every month since. Over COVID, we went virtual. We've had over 3,000 people find us over the years. And really, the whole purpose of it is, and maybe I should have led with this, is we're trying to create a forum for like-minded individuals to talk and share ideas. What's working, what's not working, who's hiring, who's available for work. We're just trying to find, basically create a community forum. And the way I look at it is, we know the bad guys are all talking and sharing information, right? As soon as there's an exploit available, they share it. Everyone swarms. As soon as an organization gets infiltrated or breached or attacked, then it's blood in the water. The sharks all come swarming. So we know the bad guys are talking all the time, and so if the good guys don't talk, we lose. And so really, that was the whole purpose behind it. And so fast forward almost 8 years, I think there's only been 4, maybe 5 months over those 8 years where we haven't held a meeting. And last one was this week, and most recent one was this week. And I'm still having people show up for the first time. So it's been to me, one, it's personally rewarding because it allows me to give back to the community. Two, it lets me stay current because when the conversations are varied and they're always leading edge. And three, it's rewarding that even after this long, there's new faces that show up every month. So yeah. Anyways, that might be more than what you were asking for, but that's kind of the background. We started as the Ottawa Cybersecurity Meetup Group because we're technical folks, we aren't marketing folks, and recently trying to change the branding to Canadian Cyber Forum. We've definitely proven out that there's a need for these sort of community groups.
Well, I think the really interesting part is that you're not marketing, folks, and that on your first meetup, you're standing room only. You sell the place out without selling
Mhm.
a ticket, right? So, I I guess I gotta ask, how did that? There had to have been something to it. It's not like did you just put it up? You literally just put it on
Yeah.
Meetup, and sure enough, everybody, tons of people showed up, or was it like, hey, let's grab everybody we know, spread the word? How did it actually play out?
A little bit of both. Yeah, we used the Meetup platform to publish it. We used LinkedIn and said, hey, this is what's going on. That first meeting, I tried to find a couple of speakers that had good presence and reputation. Yeah, to this day, I still remember that first meeting. We had one of the speakers we had came from or is was in cyber insurance, came from the insurance industry. And so we've got a room full of security practitioners. And if you think back 8 years, cyber insurance was new. Insurance companies didn't really know how to price it, right?
That's right.
And so what they all of their tables are around life insurance and car accidents and right and so it was fascinating to listen to someone from the insurance industry tell a full room of practitioners that what they did didn't impact rates. Um, and yeah, so the room just was dumbfounded, and it was a very, very spirited conversation. But yeah, so at the time, it's like, okay, what industry are you in? What country or province are you in? What state are you in? And then they went to their regular tables and said, okay, you're in high tech, you're in education, healthcare, you're a higher risk, you're in this part of the world, it's higher risk, and that's how they determine the rates. And it's, yeah, all kinds of questions about, well, what about if we're using these security controls? And at the time, the insurance companies knew nothing about that, and it didn't matter. Since then, the insurance companies have all been acquiring different security companies. They're much more savvy. They are anyone that's filled out a questionnaire, 130 questionnaire around security controls, can vouch that the insurance companies are much more aware that the strength of a program is going to have an influence on rates. So
Yeah, they learned that one the hard way.
over and over, yeah, yeah,
Your guy,
they're
you
still
tried to
they're
tell
still
them. You had a room full of guys being like, "That doesn't make any sense." Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it started. Yeah, basically, word of mouth is how we've grown. And so yeah, so if we were to maybe put a little bit more effort behind the promotion, I think that we're starting to see success. We've branched out to Toronto as well. So the city of Mississauga has been generous with donating city-owned space for free. And those meetings have anywhere from 80 to 110 people as well. So we're doing that quarterly. So yeah, I think if the day job didn't get in the way, I think there's a lot more we could do there.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. It's funny because there are like CIO and CISO groups, at least in the States, that have kind of grown, and kind of flourished over the last, kind of 10 years. And I think, you seem to have started. I think the environment was conducive to, yeah, there was a need for it, back when you started, yours. And I think that was the same existed kind of in the US, and you got a few of these really cool kind of CIO only groups, no industry, no, there was, it wasn't infected by commerce in any way, right? So you just got, people talking about what was important to them, sharing, kind of a for us, by us kind of, environment where it was safe to, to talk and without the fear of it being a sales pitch. Because on the one hand, all these new products and services and whatnot, they're good. You need to stay on top of it. But the bad side is you go to these trade shows and conferences and it's all just buy, 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 buy. And yeah, it's tough. Like some people, I think I'm probably one of them that it's easy to sell, and I'm like, oh, I gotta stop buying all this stuff. And it's nice to have a safe environment where you're not where you can get the information from other people without having, oh, I gotta block this out. I gotta not try to buy this thing and just the constant sales pitches. So I think that's fantastic. Are you guys looking to kind of, make it more, I don't want to say professional, but more of a full-time thing, or is it just kind of perfect where it is, as in the monthly meeting without really taking up too much time?
Yes to both, I guess. Yeah. Uh, we're fortunate when we have successful meetings and we get new people, we can get more volunteers, and getting more volunteers is helpful. But it also takes time, right? Because you have to organize them and then you have to talk about it. And so sometimes it's less efficient than just doing it yourself. But getting it more yeah, if I borrow speak from kind of compliance and security program nomenclature, if we kind of mature the process and the format a little bit, right? Put some more structure, make it more repeatable, then I think we could scale a little bit better. And so I don't think at this point I've got visions of franchising it or anything, but if we could reach more people and add value, then that's really what I'd like to do. And to your point, there are an awful lot of groups that have started to come up, and the trick is how do you find the value? And a lot of times, I mean, I've said it myself on public speaking events and different conferences. If it's free, then you are the product. And I've the, I try to do my best to keep this free to the membership without making them the product, right? So there's a number of groups out there that it's free to attend, but it's once you get there, it's basically a full-on sales pitch from the sponsors, and so striking that balance between getting sponsorship money to keep it affordable and open to the audience, along with not making it basically a feeding frenzy for the sponsors. That's a tough line to walk, and so far we've been able to do it. And my conversations with the vendors and the sponsors is pretty open and transparent with them. And I'm sure we'll get to it. I mean, I've been in sales or longer than I've been in operations, and I fully know that if you have anything that's on your product list that's an advantage, uh, it's going to be a business advantage. It doesn't have to be positioned as a product advantage, right? So if you're talking about, oh, I don't know, endpoint protection, or if you're talking about SASE, or if you're talking about identity and access management, I'm very open with the vendors that we bring to the table. Hey, you guys are the subject matter experts in this space. Let's talk about the business value. What is the value proposition? And if you've got your logo on the bottom, then rest assured it's a smart crowd. They'll know that you're able to do whatever you can talk about without turning it into a demo, right? And some vendors understand that more than others. The ones that don't get it, I don't have back, because I don't want it to be a sales pitch and a demo to the audience. Let's talk about business problems. Let's talk about how to address business problems, and if I try to keep that line.
I love that approach, right? Because I mean, that is Shit, that's the perfect kind of balance, right?
Yeah,
It really is. You get up there, and I love how you put that, is they're the subject matter experts. So tell us about the subject, and let's keep this
yeah,
focused on the business advantage, the value to the business, and how this plays out. So you can actually consider it without it being this, this buy kind of, sales pitch. So I
exactly.
love that. That's fantastic. So would you say that in most of your meetings you'll have like a vendor or a sponsor come and talk, and that'll be the topic, whether it's, identity access management, for instance, as you mentioned, they'll come up and say, "Hey, great, here's what we're doing, and this is how we solve this problem. This is what
Yeah,
it looks like. This is the benefit to the company." And then people will be like, "Oh, that's a
exactly.
great
Yeah.
idea."
Yeah. We've done. I play around with different formats depending on the topic and who I can get. And so we've done everything from a single presentation to two kind of half-hour presentations to panels to a presentation with a fireside chat or panel discussion. I really like the unscripted or partially scripted panel conversations as well, because I find that they can be a little bit more interactive, and the topics can come from the audience. Because at the end of the day, when you have a meeting either in person or virtual, when I used to present, I'd have a slide deck, and I'd say, "Hey, these slides are here for to fill a void between when you don't have questions." And because
Okay.
if the audience asks a question, then they're going to get something out of it. So, trying to create an environment that allows for that interaction and those questions to come is one of the I guess the guiding principles that I try to incorporate into every session.
I love that. Okay, so I gotta ask, about how much time a month does it take to kind of go through, organize a thing? Do you guys switch between who, 1 month on, 1 month off between the co-founders? I'll take it this month, you take it next month, or how's that work?
That's a wonderful conversation. And sorry, I'm laughing because yeah, in a past life, yeah, in sales, and someone would always say, "How much does this cost?" And I'd say, "It's pennies a day." And yeah, so how much time does it take? And the answer there is as much or as little as you allow it. And I've put together a session including sponsor, speakers, topics in less than an hour. And sometimes it takes a lot longer, depending on the month and the day and the timing and who's available and who's not. So I'd say that on average, let's say maybe 1 to 2 days worth of effort per show. And yes, we split things. Mark does a wonderful job on promotions and booking spaces and trying to help organize the sponsor money. Uh, and I tend to be more on the vendor relationship side and scheduling. So we're finding our way, but building a little bit more of a recipe, I guess, to the structure will help us going forward for sure.
That's great. So with the vendor, kind of with the vendor money side, is this one of those things where it's like, look, your overhead's so low, you're gonna pay for the space, some pizzas, whatever. It's
Exactly.
a real cheap, opportunity to speak to 100 or so people who are interested in what you have to say.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been the mindset we've taken. We're actually in the process of, in effect, doing an official not-for-profit status, and that'll help because then it's no longer the risk isn't at that point carried by Mark's bank account or my bank account.
Yeah,
If we have a not-for-profit status, then we can set up everything and keep church and state separate, so to speak. It also allows us to uh, uh, take advantage of government programs that are out there, because there's a lot of initiatives that support groups like ours, and I'll call us a group, that are trying to educate or re-educate the market, and and providing information back. There's a lot of things that we could potentially take advantage of, like having not necessarily a paywall, but hey, there's maybe two tiers of memberships, and how do you add value for, let's say, a CISO community or a C community or practitioners community? Ask an expert, job boards. Right now, like the website and the community boards has definitely been a least cost compliant approach that we've been taking. Setting up a little bit more structure to allow us to uh, offer repetitive value,
Yeah.
consistent value. So yeah, that's on our list.
Super cool. Exciting stuff. Okay. So, before we start talking Mitel, can you tell us, I like to call them origin stories, like we're all superheroes. Can you tell us your origin story, how you got to where you are?
Oh, geez. Yeah. So I'll start by saying I don't know if there is a typical path to a CISO role. But if there is, I know I didn't take it. So, case in point, this is my second tour of duty at Mitel. It was my second job out of school. I was in product marketing. I did a 5 year tour here from like 1995 to 2000. No, sorry, 95. Yeah, 95 to 2000. And so a second job out of school. It was a great experience. Supported the channel. I've seen sales from the marketing side, from the channel side, wholesale distribution, a reseller. Um, and from a consumer. So I've seen the sales side inside and out and backwards. I'm sure they exist, but I haven't met another CISO that's also been to President's Club. Yeah. So the first half of my career in telecom, voice over IP, basically paved the way for a transition into IT and security. Um, and yeah, um, uh, I was fortunate. I've been employee 19 three times in my life, and then I've worked for companies 5,000 employees and above, like Bell Canada, Nortel, Mitel. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum. There was a successful exit. I like to say that, yeah, I couldn't. It wasn't a life-changing event. I couldn't retire, but my wife got a new bathroom out of the deal. Um, I've got a pretty varied background. And last job at Calian, I started a cyber practice, not unlike the sponsors for the show. And then in 5 years, I took them from 4.5 million in revenue to over 40 million. There were three acquisitions along the way. And then I made a conscious effort or intentionally moved from the business side to the operations side to round out my background. And we were doing delivery for customers. So on the sales and the delivery side, it's great. You understand the value proposition. You get it closed. But once you hand over the keys and walk away, who knows what's going to happen to that organization, right? And so I moved to Calian to the operations side to build and flesh out their internal cyber program, and then that paved the way for the role, the CISO role here at Mitel. So
Huh, fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I'd say that is that I don't think we've had any even a similar story with the dozens and dozens of CISOs and CIOs we've had on, and I think we're probably at 50 or more at this point. And oh, probably more than that. In any event, none of them have had the same path. Not one single time. And you'd think it'd be, oh, come on, it's nope.
yeah,
And there is, and I think that's really fantastic. I love that we're kind of like, we just take everybody from any path, and there's a home for everybody in
yeah.
IT.
And just one more thought on that is I think that also over the time the CISO role has evolved. And I think now more than ever, organizations are realizing that the CISO role is supposed to be a technical role. It's supposed to be a business role.
Yeah.
case in point, yeah, the reason why I was a couple of minutes late, I got pulled into an RFP call, right? So, hey, when was the last time that a CISO was brought into a go, no go bid decision, right? And so I think that's where my varied background helps. I don't see the CISO too often. Security is seen as the traffic cop, as the department of no, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of put a play on words and say I'd like to say that we're the no but department. No, you can't do it that way, but let's talk about how you can do it safely, right? So,
Yeah.
understanding the business and what drives the different parts of the business really should help to elevate the security conversation so that it's no longer a cost of doing business, but how can it become a cost of sales, right? How can it be a business enabler? And so yeah, that's sort of the view that I approach the role with.
Well, and I love that view because I think that's so important. You get the people who are stuck in the no, kind of, framework, mindset, and it becomes really challenging, right? I think they just maybe they lack the communication, skills to kind of go to the no but, or you think of the traditional security, person, and I think we all know one or two who are just who they're conspiracy theorists for a reason. They know enough to be paranoid about everything,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing. But at the CISO level, just saying no and shutting everything down doesn't help the company move forward. And it doesn't, there's a time and a space for the those kind of the staunch no, cybersecurity, technicians. Great. It's good to have their input, but at the leadership level, it really does have to be about how does the company, achieve its goals securely? How do we do it in a safe manner? Great. You want to do this? Cool. We need to figure out how we do that and all arrive there safely, not just, run to that destination and have, everybody die along the way. How do we do it safely, right? So so I love that. But you said a really interesting thing about, it not being just a cost center, right? So
Yeah.
how do you change? Because I think this is a really important perspective shift, and it really that's all it is. It's just a shift in perspective and how you go about it. So, how do you go about that and communicate that it's not just an expense in the budget? Like, oh yeah, we need this, we need that. Okay, yep, Bill's asking for more money, right? How do what's that shift look like so people can be like, oh yeah, have that light bulb moment of that's how you take an expense and turn it into a benefit.
Well, yeah. So one, it's trial and error, and I haven't found the repeatable approach yet. But here are some thoughts that I've got on the topic um, is one, I think customers in general are becoming much more security conscious and security aware. They're becoming, and it starts with call it the Fortune 500 level. They've got the teams and the budgets. Supply chain is vital. If you look at it from a development side with SBOMs all the way through to risk management, the larger the company, the more likely they are to have a risk management program. Sometimes they treat it like a checkbox. Sometimes they don't. But we're seeing, I think everybody is seeing more and more, if it's an RFP scenario, there is going to be a security section in that RFP. So the need for supply chain risk management and security management is being pushed all of the way upstream to the RFP level, right? And I've seen firsthand, I've in past lives completed sales because an organization was younger, it was a little bit more, let's say, immature on the process side, just land a contract with someone like an AT&T, and then all of a sudden they get the 130-page security or 130 question security controls you must complete. And I go, oh, you mean we have to put a SIM in?
Yeah.
Well, do you want the contract? Well, of course we want the contract. All right. Well, then it becomes a cost of doing business. So I think um, long setup. The short point of that is, um, I think if you look at it from a customer perspective, right? So what are the customer requirements? And then you translate that into your operational procedures, then you are enabling business. So if customers in some parts of the world, if you sell direct, especially Europe, especially, you're seeing ISO requirements be forced on suppliers. You want to do business with us? Great. Show me your ISO certification. And then the part, I think the nuance that you can add value to is understanding scope. So, what is the customer asking for? And does that mean that I have to blindly certify the entire organization stem to stern? Or can I, from a scope standpoint, can we say, hey, if we do everything, it's going to be, I don't know, $200,000. But if we focus on what the customer needs and we focus on a defined scope as the products or services that we're delivering, and we carve it off so that if there's anything else, it's a third party supplier and we've got an agreement, and so it reduces the size and the scope of the audit load. So maybe if we can do a portion, then it's $100,000 instead of the 200,000 or whatever the number ends up being, but you're supporting the business. So now you're saying yes, but so yes, we need these controls, but we're going to do it in a cost-effective manner. The other thing that I like to say is uh, certification doesn't equal security, uh, but compliance also doesn't equal certification. And so that's a subtle nuance, right? So if I pick on ISO or NIST in North America,
Yep.
you can be compliant to a NIST or an ISO framework,
Yep.
but you don't necessarily need to pay for the certification across the entire organization, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so um, looking at things with those sort of nuances can impact costs to the business. And if you can demonstrate that you're looking at compliance as a way of enabling customer contracts and being supporting the business, then it kind of I'd say earns maybe a little bit of respect, or if not respect, at least appreciation, because you're not saying blindly, oh, you're only spending 2% of revenue on security, and the industry average
Yeah.
is 10, and so therefore I need an extra. I need you to quadruple my budget. I mean, if those sorts of arguments are those conversations last 30 seconds or less when you're talking to the CEO or the CFO, right? It's
Yep.
give me money because everybody else is spending. I don't understand that. That doesn't compute. Um, Give me money in order so that I can allow the business to retain the $20 million worth of contracts that we've got, direct contracts that we've got. That means more, right? So,
Yeah.
anyway, so that's a couple of ideas
I love
on
that.
getting closer to revenue.
Yeah, no, I think that's really really smart because you as you look at that, it's really your focus is on the business. So as long as you're focused on the business, and the funny part is, I think this applies as you look at even people get just moving into the workforce. Just focus on the business. If you're always looking at what's best for the business in whatever you're doing at any stage in the business, you're going to do great. And so I think at this, the CIO and the CISO level, if you're focused on, how do we do this for the business? How do we improve? I'm in security, I'm IT, I'm whatever it is, I'm the mail person. How do I do this best for the business? How do I help the business achieve its goals? Now you're no longer a cost center. You're
Yeah,
part of the team, helping the team achieve its goals. And I think for the longest time, historically that wasn't a perspective of IT, and I think it was I think it was a hindrance. I think all the way around as we were kind of new as an industry, kind of figuring things out, and had to mature. I think that was part of the maturing. I think we're seeing now people are focused on the on the business side of things, not just the technology or the security end of it. Because then once you're like, this is a cool product, we need it to be safe. Okay. Yeah, it may be really cool, but now you're focused on the technology, not the business. If you
Right.
can just shift to thinking about the business, now you've got something. Now you can tell the story. Now the business gets behind it versus, oh, Matt just likes, we know Matt likes cool tech. Cool. And this is a really cool new one. And yeah, it's, kind of future proof. And yeah, it's going to be there for you. Yeah, it's the cutting edge. And yeah, it'll be good for us. But how does this help the business? Right.
Yeah,
So if your focus is on the business, then you're doing it right. Right. I think
exactly.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And so interestingly, yeah, Mitel just went through its a bankruptcy, which I think is really, really fascinating and kind of a textbook example of what bankruptcy was meant to be and is used, for. And I think all too often we hear the big news stories of, 23andMe, for instance, going through its bankruptcy and it's going out of business, right? Somebody's buying the rights to stuff and it's going away. And those seem to be the ones that get all the attention of, oh, big business went bankrupt, went out of business, versus what happened with Mitel. Can you kind of give us tell us a little bit of the story, give people the overview of what happened?
Yeah, sure. And yeah, we've emerged, and there's a lot of information publicly. So if I just summarize, I think one, nomenclature is important, and I think there's a difference between bankruptcy and Chapter 11. Chapter 11 has a whole number of clauses, right? And you're right, the high-profile ones, and whenever someone says Chapter 11, they immediately go to that worst case. Oh, geez, they've been bleeding money, they can't make payroll. Right? It's what happened to Nortel, and once upon a time, and then it's all of a sudden creditors take over and they're selling off the assets on pennies on the dollar, and then they're just trying to recoup whatever little money they can. So that's not the case with Mitel. I think if you look back, Mitel was purchased by a private equity company back in either 17 or 18. Uh, and my words are, it looks like it was a leverage buyout. So a lot of debt was put on the balance sheet. The interest rates back in 18 were different than they are today. So when all the loans come due, you look at it and you say, "Hey, can Mitel operate with the current balance sheet?" And um, so Mitel went out and they negotiated an approach with their major lenders, with their major creditors, and effectively, it looks like it was a debt to equity conversion. And so we emerge with 1.1 billion less of debt on the balance sheet. We've dropped 135 million a year in interest carrying charges. We were profitable going into Chapter 11, so we remain profitable and a going concern, but the balance sheet's much more healthy. We've got new owners, we've got a new board of directors, we've got the same team, performance-driven team behind it, and so yeah, globally, we're number one or two in the unified communications marketplace, depending on segment. We've got over 75 million phones installed around the world. We've got over 7,000 channel partners globally. And yeah, we're over a billion in revenue and over 5,000 employees. So yeah, this ends up being, in my mind, a good news story, right? We're profitable going in, we're profitable coming out, and our balance sheets and terms are a lot more manageable now. So we're more healthy on the balance sheet side. So.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, those are the stories you like hearing, right? Where it's everything works out for the best, and it was just a smart move to make the company healthier. And it's funny because in the news you hear all these you hear of private equity firms buying a company. They burden them with all kinds of debt. Then they end up carving it off and carving it up, and the company goes under. Private equity firm makes a killing, selling off the real estate, on and the assets, but the company ends up going bye-byes. And we've seen that it's time and time again, at least in the States. It's become, you know, things like Sears, huge company, same thing. I was like, really? I mean, the thing, Sears was around for what, 100 and how many years? It was, and then, somebody gets a bright idea that they can, it's just rough, right? I'm not
Exactly.
sure. While legal, it seems like such a horrendous thing, to happen. So it's nice to hear, stories where private equity comes in. Yeah, there might have been debt, but it was handled so much better here with Mitel, than that kind of the other way
Yeah.
around in some of the other cases.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, I mean, we're 52 years old. So we're definitely, we're a consolidator, not a consolidatee. We seem to continually be able to adapt to changing environments and changing market conditions. So yeah, hopefully we can keep that creativity and product leadership and survive and be a leader for another 52 years. So
I love it here, and I think you're on that path, Bill. It's been fantastic having you on. But before we go, can you tell everybody out where they can find out more about you, the Canadian Cyber Forum, and if in case they've been living under a rock for their whole lives, Mitel.
oh, sure. Mitel.com, Mitel.com. That's how you can find Mitel. Myself, last name is Dunnion, Dunnion. And if you look on LinkedIn, in Canada, here's a fun fact. I'm the only Dunnion family in Canada. So if you do a Google search for Dunnion in Canada, you're going to find either me, a couple of my sisters are on, or my kids. So feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect. And if you search for Canadian Cyber Forum, you'll be able to find us there. And we're trying to do more and more hybrid and virtual streaming as well as in person. So I try to bring down those limitations of in-person meetings only. So would love to increase our online membership
Oh,
viewership.
that is actually fantastic. I'm gonna look into that myself and join you. Is it open to anybody, or do you have to? Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
fantastic. Well, we'll be linking it, in the description, in the bio below. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fantastic. Bill,
That's
thanks so much for coming on, and until next time.
excellent, Matt. That was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the Cyber Business Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.